I'm telling you, around our wedding, and when we decided that, hey, the backlash. I don't think there was even his close friends. Even his close friends were sitting down with me and telling me, Joanne, are you serious? Are you pregnant? What is it? Like, he's at his peak of his career, but you are just starting out. When you get to the peak of your career, you will change your mind. So think twice. Things like those, like people telling you that. And I like it because when someone tells me those things, then I am able to receive it and say, I actually want to do this. Because of what you said, because when I'm in...
Proving them wrong.
Yes, when I'm in my peak of my career, I want someone like this to support me.
Hello and welcome back to the 360 Perspective podcast with me, Trisha. Well, I know it's been a minute, a little bit quiet in here, but we are back. Sorry for the silence and the missed episode. It was quite a busy season at work, but I've promised to come back, hopefully much better and stronger and more consistent with the content as we continue with this series on love and relationships and marriage. With that said, I want us to dive into today's conversation, which is an interesting one because my guest, one, she got married really young. Secondly, not just to any ordinary man, but she got married to a pastor. I realize a lot of women out here are always, especially Christian women, I want to get married to a pastor, but really, do you know what it comes with? So we'll be diving into this conversation, just unpacking her story, her journey into marriage, getting married young, getting married to a minister of the gospel, and just what her journey has been, almost a decade into marriage, and just the lessons that she's learned along the way. So ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome the one and only Joanne.
Oh, thank you so much, Trisha. Woo.
Yeah.
Intro.
Yes. Finally, it's a pleasure to finally have you on my podcast.
Thank you, Trisha.
The day is finally here.
Ooh, hey, pressure.
Yes.
But I'm glad to have come and joined you in your podcast. You are really you're doing the Lord's work out here. So thank you. Thank you for creating impact with this platform.
Yeah. Thank you. So I think I'm going to go ahead and give you a few minutes to just introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and any other interesting fun fact about who Joanne is.
Yeah. Now I'm thinking of fun fact before thinking of... Okay. So my name is Joan Mwende, Kinus. And Kinus is the short form of my husband. He's called Kenuthia. But I like Kinus. I just like that name. So I refer myself to that everywhere in all social media platforms.
Yeah.
If a recruiter is looking for me, I don't know how they're going to find me. But yes, I will introduce myself as me and then now go to the million titles. But I am a woman founded by the foundation of Christ. And for me, the foundation of Christ is the foundation of love. Because I have experienced love through knowing this Christ, and that's the life that I want to lead. From a point of, I want to be in spaces where people don't see me with fear, but they see me driven by love. And I can only love because I know I was first loved. So that's the first thing. And then I'm an intelligent woman, driven by values as well.
That's true.
Yes. I'm driven by my 5 strong values. I have 5 values that I carry every day with me when I wake up. And that is authenticity. And when I say values as well, it's what I give to the world and what I appreciate getting back. So authenticity, just being true to who you are and who I am. Like if I interact with people, I just like being me. Whether or not people will appreciate or not, but that's something I carry strongly. Empathy, that I try and sit and feel what someone feels and just try to carry them through their journey. So that's something that I have not been able to read out of myself. Community. I am someone who gets energy and belonging from people. So building the kind of people who I can tap into and those that I need to tap out of. So that is very important to me. And the fourth one is impact, change making. That I appreciate when I see someone, especially women, go from A to B. Not we are at A, how do we go to B? And the last one is courage. That without courage and confidence, I'm not able to live these values. And for me, my confidence comes from who I know I am in Christ. And so going in and even modeling it, that things, fear and doubt and imposter syndrome can get in our way a lot, especially as women, but trying to see how can I live a courageous life for the person who's coming behind me and the women I'm working with in this journey. Yes. So apart from that,
Wow. Let's just pause there for a moment, because I think she's the first guest who's had like a whole 1 minute, 2 minute of just introducing herself and her values. But I love it. I think it's a beautiful way of just knowing yourself and understanding who you are. And I think just the confidence of your identity and your belief in who you are as a person. So that's beautiful. But you can go ahead.
Yes. So because I really appreciate introductions that are not boxed.
Yeah, like what do you do? So Trisha is a podcaster, and mother, and all those other things, wife, which are beautiful, but
they are.
I love that intro. Yes. These are my values, and
this is who I am. Exactly. Because now then I've been in that trap where I don't know who I am. Am I a pastor's wife?
Because and we'll unpack that. Yes, because it's very critical in this conversation.
Yes. And so is it, do I say I'm a pastor's wife? Do I say I'm a marketer? Because that's my profession, and that's my corporate journey. Do I say that I am a coach to women? Do I say that I help women get purpose and freedom through financial freedom, stuff like that? So I hold many titles. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I am a corporate woman. I've been in corporate for 10 years. I run a non-profit in Kenya that helps women and helps rural communities grow. And I'm a pastor's wife, or that. So it's those titles. I enjoy reading, I enjoy traveling, I enjoy being with my friends and all that. But I always encourage women to, when the titles are out, who do you stand as? Who are you? And we've been taught, even when you walk into networking events or when you meet, hey, what's your name? What do you do? But past that, what is behind that, what you do? Yes, so that's why I go with many titles. I'm an entrepreneur. I am. So today, in which capacity do you want me to?
I love the values part, and I think it's a beautiful way. Personally, I'm challenged to to transform how I introduce myself, just based off on my identity and my foundation of who Trisha is as a person and the values that I embody as an individual, as a leader, as wearing all these different hats. But the bottom line is, what are the values that I embody that define all these different aspects of who I am as a person? So that's really, really beautiful.
Oh, thanks, Trisha.
Yes. Wow, an amazing intro right there. And I think you started unpacking something very sensitive, but we'll definitely get to that. You mentioned about just particularly women, just moments when we lose ourselves. And I don't think it's just a women's thing, but even men, like when all these titles and all these things are stripped away, really who you are. And we'll get to that. But I want us to begin your story and your journey. If maybe you can just take us back like a bit to do with how you grew up and just to that point of you getting married at a really young age. Well, in today's society, it's young. But yes, please go ahead and share with us your journey and story.
Yes. So I'll share a bit about my upbringing. So I grew up in a family that was Catholic background of entrepreneurs. So my mom and dad are business people, like strong business people who have a global footprint of selling like African tradition to the world. So like the curios and all that. And that's what, as like me understanding who I am, I found them doing that. And so being in such a family, it was a liberal family. It wasn't your typical like a pastor's home family, because I'm married to a pastor who was from a pastor's home. But we enjoyed like things from the world, dressing, fashion. We did a lot of parties, and a lot of like, our family was more about like the happiness and the laughter. And also something that has really shaped me today is the independence, where I was free to be who I was in my family, because now my parents, especially my dad, was very keen in developing me as a person and speaking truths to me, like, Joanne, the women he grew up with and his sisters and his mom, like he's seen them. Even, for example, my mom, how they've grown up, he wants us as his daughters to be different. He wants us to occupy those global companies, to work in corporate offices, to travel the world and see what is out there, because they've traveled and seen people who are successful. So coming from that background and seeing that's all my dad used to say, that's all he used to feed us with, that you're more than this, what you can see. Please think above. Please aim for the moon. Please aim. And the best way he could do that is to emphasize on education. Like, I'll take you to the best school in the best of my capability. And you will go and study, and I want you to be diligent in your education. But then now as like life went on, like truth to business, there were times when things were high and there were times when things were really low. And one of the things that the opportunity cost of having parents who travel a lot is that we used to be home a lot alone. That they were almost all the time traveling to get these funds for us to go to school and to just survive back home in Nairobi. And so a lot of it was, now we were being raised with other people, like relatives. And then when we came of age, like, for example, maybe if I remember, if I was 16 or 17, around 18 is when now they're like, okay, now you guys can take care of yourselves. So I have a big brother. So me and my big brother can take care of our two smaller siblings. So that's what now, starting to now parent, like, quote unquote, and not just be a child, because then you're forced to now grow up, exactly, and mature faster, because that's what they have. Like, they're trying to give us the best of life, so you can't have everything. Yeah, there are parents who choose to stay home with their children, but give them what they can. But my parents were over ambitious, that we want to go out and try and provide the best kind of lives to you guys, that you will have the best lives in future. That came with a lot of, like, it was hard. It was really hard staying with my siblings and always thinking about, okay, is it visiting day that I will go as I am in campus, for example? I skip class. And then at that same time, for example, when I got to 18, my mom told me, Joanne, you're 18 now. And you've passed, like, I passed high school, so I was called to University of Nairobi, so I could apply for loans, I could get like subsidized fees. And so she's like, because your fees is not a lot, you go out and look for the fees. So it's, do I look for a job? So I had a bookkeeping job because I'm good at mathematics. So how can I help a company just do their maths and put their maths in order? And then now I got into like student leadership and started getting opportunities where I can look for school fees for myself, survival money for myself, and also now still take care of my siblings. So that's how now my upbringing was from now, because then when I got into campus is when now my parents' businesses, my dad started falling ill. So my mom is the one who was now holding fort most of it. So it wasn't as comfortable as it has always been. So it's trying to see, okay, what can I do? My siblings traveled, they went to China. So it was just me and probably my small brother or a small sister. My brother went. And so it's thinking of, okay, when, for example, my friends would have, if I have $1, like 100 bob, I wouldn't go and sit down and eat chips at Stanford with my friends. I would think of this 100 can buy meat, which is like 50, and then I buy vegetables, I go home and we eat. And it will feed us for lunch and probably dinner. Yeah. So I didn't have that luxury of just spending money the way I wanted, the way I was seeing my other friends spend money. And those are things now I had to unpack and now enjoy having money, because I was brought up knowing that, okay, I need to have my guts. I need to think twice before spending the money, or even lacking, seeing people lack. I have gone through that lack, seeing people not have money to even buy, for example, sanitary towels. I have gone through that, like, okay, is it a cloth I will use? What do I need to be innovative about? Because there is no money. And I have seen that. So the thing that helped me is getting into the church. Because then I, being in a Catholic background, Catholic, it wasn't a lot of like the Bible studies and all. It's more of you just go to church, you do the mass, and then you go back home. And that's the Catholic church that I used to attend. Then so one time we used to live in an area called Langata. And that was we used to live a really nice house. It has maybe 6 bedrooms, like a big house. Then business got bad for my parents. And I feel because they did not invest in things like financial literacy, now looking back, like my mom keeps on saying, Joan, I wish I knew what I knew today. We would have planned our lives better when you guys were kids. But because they didn't have that privilege of who taught them how to manage money when they have. So we got auctioned from that house. And the biggest gift I think my parents did was they had invested in a very small house. It's like a 2-bedroom house in an area called Kahawa West. And having that house, knowing that when they were away, we would stay without electricity and water, but we have a roof over our heads, And so the first thing when we got into that community, one of my childhood friends, because that was our childhood home, she's like, come, I need to take you to church. And I really I'm really grateful for that friend. I don't think I'll ever forget her. She's called Salome. And she took me to church. And so the first person I meet in church is the youth leader, who's Kinus. But then there was nothing about it because then I was in Form 1. And so getting into church, and I'm like, oh, this is a new kind of church, because it was a Baptist church. People actually study the word of God. So I became very curious, because I'm a very curious person. And I used to go to Kinus and tell him, I'm going to school, high school. I need a book. I need to read. I need, when I'm in my free time, I need to do discipleship. I want to just learn about this Jesus. Who is he? So that, and then during holidays, I go to camps, I go to fellowships, I go to all those things. Because then that was the structure I needed that I didn't have at home. And now I got to learn this in therapy later, because I used to love going to school because school gave me structure. But now I also enjoyed going to church because it gave me structure and also a community and belonging. So a lot of my friends I made through the church. And of course, now my life partner came from the church. And yeah, so that's like a tip of the things that have formed who I am today. And now coming into the church, of course, now I got into leadership of the church. I used to enjoy missions and just learning about the word of God. And so and I think I was in the church for maybe 7-8 years before now. Like my husband Kinus said, I really admire how you really love God. Because it was not, I'm not the typical, because of my upbringing, I would not wear long dresses. I had dreadlocks. My mom used to buy me short dresses because she knew style. My mom is such a fashionista. She would buy me hipsters and nice clothes and all that, which was very different in that context, being in that community church and being there. I was, it also, people were just saying, you're out. Just different, and not stand out from a point of, it's not the decent kind of the things that society tells us to do, because I wasn't brought up that way. I was brought up different. Yeah. And so yeah. And I think Kinus now coming to me, he categorically started expressing that I just love you because I have met you, not the typical, for example, pastor's partner or pastor's wife. You love God, you love people. I loved missions. And I started my nonprofit. So I really enjoyed.
So I feel like we've already fast forwarded. So let's take it a bit slow. No, I love it. I love your journey. But I think you mentioned, so you joined the church when you were in Form 1.
I joined when I was in class 7.
In class 7?
Yes.
So you started going consistently all the way into high school?
Yes.
In high school, that's when now you met, in Form 1, that's now you met who would become your future husband.
I met him in class 7 when I walked
When you just joined the church?
When I just walked in.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
But then at what point did you now start having a form of either friendship or just learning? Because at that point, he's your leader and your...
Yes.
Which I find it very interesting, as part of your story. But I think God crafts our stories very differently and very uniquely.
Yes.
And I think that's something I'd want to unpack a bit more about just building your friendship with someone who was your youth leader. Can we just unpack that bit?
So at that point, I was friends with youth leaders. And at that point, when I met Kinus at church, and he's the one who introduced me to the fellowship, because at that point when I walked in, there was something going on for teenagers, and we used to call it CBN. I don't know if there's anyone who was in CBN who's watching this, but
please tell us. Tell us in the comment section.
Oh gosh, for Kahawa West Baptist Church, and it still happens until today. There's still CBN, and when I met him, it was in class 7, and he was a youth leader, but we were all friends. You know how you just, because when you go to church,
a group of
it's not even a clique, because he was older. He was way older than me. So I had I met Kinus, friends, because he's a youth leader. But then I met Kinus' sister, who's my age mate, and so we became really good friends from then. So we became very good friends with Poi. She's my sister-in-law, and I love her so much. She's still my friend up to today, and so I didn't even know she is Kinus' sister, because now we became friends in class 7, class 8, and I was not even thinking, if you even ask my friends, I'm not the friend who was thinking about dating or, I don't know, boyfriends, because my life was a lot. I did not have even the space and time to think about who is going to be my boyfriend and who is going, and yet I would sit down with my friends, and I know this friend, her wedding is going to be green. I know her, for example, gown would be XYZ. I know this friend, I know she likes the mermaid kind of dresses. Me, I was the clueless one. Guys, you just plan yours. Me, I have a vision board. And my vision board is this. I want to do XYZ by the time I'm 25. Maybe 25, 26 is when I consider marriage. And then 30, the way we plan. And God just laughs. But I think then now coming into the church and starting now to grow with this community. So slowly by slowly being involved in these things. Of course, Kinus being my leader, and then now I became a youth leader as well, because then I was really committed in the church, and I really wanted to be committed.
You were still in high school, or?
I was, so from high school in CBN, and then the teens ministry, and after I left teens ministry, now when I was in campus, I became, I think, the treasurer of the youth or something like that. So through it all, just growing with that set of people and going to camps together, leading these fellowships and all that. And I am a people's person. I go to spaces and I really love being with people. I get a lot of energy when I am around people. So being my youth leader, it didn't mean anything, because I think from the time I met him to the time we even started having something, he had dated already 2 people who are still my friends then. Now I can't say, but but yes, but then now to the realization that now he came and told me, Joan, it is you, and so yeah.
And did you ever have a thing for him?
I did, because he really liked, he used to question a lot about, I think he found my life fascinating, how my parents have raised, even up to today. He really likes hanging out with my mom, because how I talk to my mom, even sometimes he's like, Joan, respect your elders, staying ways that. I'm like, no, but my mom, because being abroad and having her maybe a month or 2 months in a year, I am able to tell her, no, we are not doing that. No, I'm not coming home.
And then also being a deputy parent.
And being
so you mature very fast.
Her, no, you can't talk to our sister like that, because the way she is, she needs to be talked to like this. You see, all that. So there's that relationship I have with my mom. She's almost like my sister at this point. I had to really heal out of all those things that I went through, raising my siblings, and also just making peace with, this is my mom, this is the mom God created for me, because I lost my dad as well in 2018. But then, so now I have my mom, and she was able to be the kind of mom she was to me, with the tools that she had and the traumas as well that she was going through. Exactly. So it's now making peace with it is what it is. It's the things that you cannot control. It's you accept and you move on. Yeah. And so that's a lot of learning that I had to learn. But Kinus was fascinated, because he is from, his grandfather is a pastor, so it was a pastor's home. The dad is a pastor, so it was a pastor's home. So then coming to my home, she's like, These people, like I walk in, it's wow. You know, we enjoy music, we enjoy dancing, we enjoy cultural stuff and all that. And it's not the typical like pastor's upbringing or something like that. So he used to be fascinated with my stories. And so we used to talk a lot and we used to vibe a lot, but out of nothing. Because then I would tell him about what I'm learning about Christ. And he was curious about, with my curiosity, that why are you really into these gospel things? Who raised you? Why don't you know? You know? So that's like we created a bond and a friendship from a long time ago, and we used to joke a lot. Even now, like we used to joke and laugh a lot because life is not that serious. Yes, so we were friends. We were friends since then. We were friends when he was in relationships. We were friends when he was with his friends. You know.
At what point did your feelings start to grow and get a bit serious? Was he already in a relationship? Because the reality is, especially for youth pastors and youth leaders, you know, there's always a lot of women, you know, especially the ones who are not married.
That's true.
You know, you're always praying, I hope I'll be the lucky girl, you know, who will get married to that pastor, because he's obviously on the pulpit, very knowledgeable with God's word. You know, they portray the values of like leadership, which every woman is looking forward to, you know, marry a man who's like a true leader, a man who's deep in the word of God, and, you know, so they embody what many women feel like this would make a good husband. And every woman is always praying that they'll be the lucky ones to get married to the youth pastor. So I'm curious to know, at what point did you start feeling, I think there's something I'm feeling about this particular guy, and at what point did he also start developing something for you?
I think being friends, like I couldn't make out of it because then I didn't have experience in knowing boyfriends, like when I was in high school or even after high school.
You'd not dated before?
No, I hadn't. So, and that is now during high school, and because Trisha, my life, my gosh, I wasn't even thinking. And then also there was that stigma about like guys, like it's almost like when you meet a guy,
you'll get pregnant.
And then like,
you will get pregnant. Yes.
But and with my goals and with how my life is set up, I cannot afford to jeopardize that, you know, because I know my parents really put in a lot of struggle and sweat in that. And also it's something like I really wanted to make a life out of myself. Yeah. And so I was very focused. Like I was a focused person in school and in church. Like I gave my best. And also now starting a nonprofit when I got into campus, I was really focused on that. And then also now paying my debts, paying my school fees, paying my upkeep, visiting my sister and brother in school during Parents' Day, midterm, I go and pick them up and all. And I think there are bits and pieces where I wouldn't say like it was the romantic feelings, but it's more of appreciative feelings that this person sees me for, like he sees me and appreciates what I do. Like, for example, I could say, I remember one time we were opening school and it was my birthday, January 6th. And you know, after Christmas, my birthday is just at the place where no one has money, no one. And I remember going into, because when I was going to school, but I passed through his office because I told him the previous day, which is on a Sunday, that tomorrow is my birthday and I really want to go to school. And I think I didn't have shoes or something like that. Like my shoes were really torn, but I was determined. And that would be an excuse for, like, for example, my sister or my brother, they didn't like school. So that is, I'm not going to school until I get shoes. But me, because I loved school so much, Yani, I used to wait for school to open for me to go. So I went to his office and he's like, Joan, but why don't you have shoes to wear? You know, and I remember that day and it was my birthday. He's like, Joan, just take this 1,000 shillings, like $10, and go buy for yourself shoes. And I was like, what? Because I know those things don't come easy. And him being like a youth pastor and a leader, he's so like, I really wanted to go to, and I think at that point, maybe there was a strike of matatus or something like that. So my friends were not going to school, but for me, it meant a lot to leave the home setting and go to school. Because it wasn't like I didn't have an easy home and safe environment. So I really
So
just
sometimes school is also an escape.
exactly
When
for
home
me
is
that was it. That was it. And I feel because it was that, it was easier for me to excel in school because that's how I took it with that seriousness.
Yeah.
That it was the structure I needed, it was the safety I needed.
Plus, also, I think just mentally, because I also grew up in a broken home with many issues, and I know like my younger sister, that was like her default, and she was really brilliant, top in the magazine, everywhere. But now later, as you grow up, you realize that was her coping mechanism from everything that was literally happening at home. So school and books were her form of escape, where she knows here I'm excelling, I'm thriving, I'm being noticed, all these kind of things happening, which I think majority of the time is a reality for a lot of people who are going through
and I didn't know this until just the last 2 years where I was in therapy and just trying to unlearn some of these things that were foundational truths for me and seeing why did I like it like that, and all that. And also knowing, for example, it could have been just $10, but it was $10 with like, he didn't expect anything. He didn't, how when you're told a man is giving you even 1 shilling, just to know.
I remember, that money, you don't take it.
You don't.
That's it. That money, next thing you're gonna be pregnant.
Exactly. And so small things, small bits and pieces like those, small bits and pieces like, I really want to attend a mission, and I remember there's a mission in Muranga right after I finished Form 4. And I really wanted to go for that mission, and him making it possible because I didn't have like the funds to fund. I don't know if it was a camp or a mission, and him is just saying, you know what, I'll talk to the treasurer of the youth now or whoever, and you will attend these things. And those things meant a lot because I really liked doing those things. I really loved serving people and serving God. And small bits and pieces like this were giving me like signs, those small things like, this person actually cares. This person actually does not require of me like the way I hear the world, like guys would
like you don't have to repay them.
And he doesn't want anything from me. He doesn't want anything from my body, for example. Like, he's like, what is he gonna ask me for tomorrow? Things like those. And I was very scared of that because I knew my dreams done. If I even get done. And so now going into after high school as well, he used to have a car, and like I'm just remembering these fond memories, and I even feel them in my heart. My children, I think their shags, is it like Nakuru, or they were coming from Nakuru, and I was visiting my sister in Gilgil, visiting day, and you see how like where the public transportation matatu would put you have to walk with shopping. I don't know what. So I would walk, and those days I don't think bodas were like a thing then. Like I could get a boda to walk into the school compound and all. And I remember when I was coming out of the school, like I was exhausted. I think I was in school, I had exams and all that. And I just finished visiting my sister in school. So when I was coming out, he's like, oh, hi, my mom and dad, and like we are with the family in the car. We just left Nakuru, and we want to wait for you so that we can go together to Nairobi. I'm like, first, you've saved me like 200 shillings, which, oh gosh. And then second, like they stood at the stage for like maybe 1 hour, 2 hours for me to finish visiting my sister. I walk, and you see things like those are, you can't, those are not things that you can buy. Those are not material things that he would give me and say, this is the guy who will give me the Lambo and the big house and no. He was a kind person, and he was a God-fearer. Like he just was doing good things to people without expecting anything in return. And I saw it. And so by the time now, I'm like, okay, now I really have feelings for this guy. It was way like after high school is when now he's like, Joan, by the way, I like you. I really like the woman you are, and I like the heart that you have. Of course, there's like, no. Do you know I've not even started? No, just wait. And so there was a bit of ups and downs, and him figuring out stuff, me figuring out, is this really what I want? And so through my college to now the outer years of my university, it's more like now I really want to get married to you. I really want to get married to you, and we can do a come we stay. Come we stay is where like we just move in together because my parents are not around. I can, like, those are things.
At that point, how old were you?
I was 21. My parents were not around, so they wouldn't even, and you see, and also that independence that my parents gave me to make a
matured very
choice.
fast.
Exactly. So for me, it's a choice above what, and so he's like, no, me being a pastor, we need to do it right. We need to get married in the church. So we know many people who are doing the Kamustays, but me, I wanted a Kamustay that is official, because then I didn't like that being in the limelight. I was young. I'm still figuring. I don't even know if it's a wedding, what colors. So I had to sit down with one of my friends who was my roommate in college to ask them, tell me which colors should I use. She's called Kuya. I'm like, Kuya, what? My friend Gasheri, which dress should I wear? She's like, Joan, what kind of dress is this? Let me send you the dress that that we'll pick for you and all that. I think even that process of marriage and planning a wedding, I'm really thankful for these women that I have in my life, because then they were many of them were like, Joan, are you serious? What are you doing with your life? Are you serious? Some of them are in the Kamustays, but then I'm like, but I'm just doing what you're doing officially. If it works, fine. If it doesn't work as well, it's not the end of life, fine. But we were really committed to
make it official.
We will make it official. We'll make it official because...
And honor God.
And exactly, because it's honoring God, and marriage is God's design. And being with someone at home, especially him being a pastor, what does that say to every other person who's looking up to him? And so just respecting who he is and respecting who God has created us to be. So above, I'm telling you, around our wedding, and when we decided that, hey, the backlash, I don't think there was even his close friends, were sitting down with me and telling me, Joan, are you serious? Are you pregnant? What is it? He's at his peak of his career, but you are just starting out. When you get to the peak of your career, you will change your mind. So think twice. Things like those, people telling you that. And I like it because when someone tells me those things, then I am able to receive it and say, I actually want to do this because of what you said. Because when I'm in...
Proving them wrong.
Yes. When I'm in my peak of my career, I want someone like this to support me, and all that. And so the day that we said, okay, fine, it happens. We went to my dad, who was in Kenya then, and he was not feeling so well. And one thing that he told Kinus, because at first he was against it, because he's like, my high-flying daughter, I want you to have a high-flying man. I want you to have someone who will take care of you and give you that life that we couldn't give you. But because I told him that this is the man I want to marry. He's a pastor, yes. He's not the kind of guy who is your typical... he thought I would go to London and get someone who's a high-flying, I don't know, parents.
A six-figure salary.
Six-figure or seven. And exactly that he will give me the life that they were not able to give me. But for me, what was most important is having a man who will allow me to be who I am. He will allow me, because my dad now was telling me, Joan, the dreams I have for you. I want you to continue studying. I want you to achieve the dreams that I told you I want you to achieve. And if you're saying this is the man that will help you do that, then go. And so the most liberating thing that my husband told me then is that, let me tell you, the calling of being a pastor was mine. It was not yours. You have not told me categorically that God has called you to be a pastor. But what you love doing in terms of helping women and getting into those corporate spaces and at least making your life more purposeful, I will not stop you. And saying that in front of my dad, that meant okay, at least my life will not stop. Because then I thought marriage will make my life stop. Especially being married to a pastor.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
So
your calling becomes his calling.
My calling becomes his calling. And even just...
sometimes you lose your
yourself.
identity in the
Exactly.
process of all
Exactly.
that. Yeah, you don't know who you are.
Yeah.
You identify, I'm the first lady of the church. My purpose is to submit and to support my husband in his calling.
Yeah.
But really, I think many women later in their years, they really sit down and ask themselves, what would my life have been?
Yeah. Yeah.
If I made some decisions for myself.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Joan, for just being vulnerable today and sharing your story with us. I really do hope that for our viewers today, you've been encouraged, you've been inspired, you've been challenged, and hopefully transformed by the conversation that we've had today, and that you are living with at least one or two things from today's conversation that will challenge your perspectives and just how you see and view life. That's it for today. Thank you for being sticking with us till the very end of this conversation. I do celebrate each one of you. Thank you to all our new subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, please join the 360 Perspective family as you continue to inspire, challenge, and just transform through the conversations that we have here. But until next time, it is a goodbye from us. Bye.